The islands retirees were dreaming about 5 years ago are gone. Bali got swallowed by digital nomads. The Caribbean became a trust fund playground. The places that felt like secrets got hashtagged to death. But there are still islands where $1,800 a month doesn't just survive, it actually lives. Where rent is low, the crowds haven't arrived, and your social security check buys a real retirement. That window is closing faster than most people realize. Before we get into the list, here's how I built it, because I can't stand those videos promising you'll live like royalty on $600 a month, numbers from 2014, assuming you'll never need a doctor, and somehow forgetting to count rent. I'm not doing that to you. Every island on this list was filtered through 3 things. Realistic monthly cost, not the fantasy number, the actual one. Healthcare access, because you're not 30 anymore and it's non-negotiable. And residency practicality. Can you actually stay there legally, long-term, without a law degree? These are real 2026 budgets for retirees who want a stable life, not backpacker survival. Let's get into it. Number 5, São Tomé and Príncipe, the African island almost nobody talks about. Think about every retirement destination you've ever heard recommended. Portugal, Mexico, Panama, Bali, Costa Rica, Thailand. The same handful of countries repeated in every article, every video, every forum post. Now meet a place that almost never makes that list, and that's exactly what makes it worth talking about. São Tomé and Príncipe, a tiny island nation off the west coast of Africa in the Gulf of Guinea. Portuguese colonial history, tropical climate year-round, fresh seafood practically walking distance from whoever's cooking it. Here's the real 2026 budget for an actual life here. Not surviving, but living. A decent apartment runs $400 to $700 a month. Food from local markets, real markets, not tourist traps, another $200 to $350. Utilities and internet, $100 to $200. Total realistic monthly cost, $900 to $1,300 a month. Less than $1,300. On a tropical island, warm weather every single day, and a crowd that isn't tourists, just people who actually live there. So why doesn't everyone know about this place? Because the trade-offs are real, and most retirement videos leave them out. Healthcare is limited. Basic care is available locally, but anything serious, major surgery, specialist treatment, complex ongoing care, likely means traveling to Portugal or Ghana. For some retirees, that's a deal breaker. It should be considered carefully, not glossed over. Infrastructure can also be unreliable. Power outages happen, internet drops. If constant connectivity is something you genuinely need, for family, for health monitoring, for peace of mind, this will test you in ways a highlight reel won't prepare you for. And long-term residency isn't as straightforward as more developed destinations. Tourist stays are manageable, but formalizing your life here requires patience most Americans aren't used to. Here's who São Tomé is actually right for: the adventurous retiree. The person who has spent decades dreaming about somewhere genuinely off the beaten path. The minimalist who's tired of the overcrowded expat trail. The person who would rather have $400 left over at the end of every month in a place nobody's discovered yet than be stretched thin in a place everybody has. If that sounds like you, this island deserves serious research. One of the cheapest island lifestyles on this entire list, but also one of the least developed. You go in with eyes wide open, or you don't go at all. Now, speaking of least developed, let's go somewhere that takes that concept to its absolute extreme. This next island is unlike anything else on this list. Number 4, the Pacific island with fewer than 2,000 residents. When most people picture a Pacific island, they picture tourists, beach bars, resorts, overpriced cocktails, and influencers photobombing every sunset. Niue is the opposite of all of that. Niue is one of the smallest self-governing states in the entire world. It sits in the South Pacific, east of Tonga and northeast of New Zealand. And here's the number that puts everything in perspective. Fewer than 2,000 people live there. The entire population is smaller than a lot of American high schools. That means no mass tourism, no resort developments swallowing the coastline, no crowds at the dive spots. Niue is protected from the forces that destroyed affordability in places like Bali and the popular Caribbean islands, because it's simply too small and too remote for the tourist machine to bother with. It's in free association with New Zealand, so English is widely spoken and the legal and governmental systems carry that New Zealand influence, a level of stability and familiarity that retirees from English-speaking countries find reassuring. The scenery is genuinely unlike anywhere else. Crystal clear Pacific water, ancient coral limestone formations that cut down to sea level, some of the best snorkeling and diving in the Pacific. An island so small, you can drive the entire coastal road in about an hour, and almost nobody else doing it the same day. The budget. Rent runs $500 to $900 a month, reflecting that New Zealand connection and the infrastructure that comes with it. Food is more expensive because much of it is imported. Budget $300 to $500. Utilities and internet, another $150 to $250. Total realistic monthly cost, $1,000 to $1,500. Still well under $1,800. And in exchange, you get a level of peace and natural beauty that no amount of money buys you in more developed destinations. But here's where I have to be genuinely honest, because the trade-off on Niue is real and significant. Isolation is not a marketing word here. It is daily life. Flight connections are extremely limited. There's no hopping on a quick flight to a specialist. Serious medical cases require evacuation to New Zealand, which is a solid system once you get there, but getting there when something has gone wrong with your health is not simple. The housing inventory is tiny, and the residency pathway is handled more case by case than through a clearly marked process for foreign retirees. This is not a destination I can recommend to anyone with ongoing health complications. Full stop. But for a healthy retiree who craves peace over convenience and would trade a Walmart for the most spectacular Pacific scenery you've never seen on a postcard, Niue deserves a serious look. Number 3. Nevis, the Caribbean island most Americans skip. Here's a scenario I want you to sit with for a moment. You've worked for decades, you've paid into Social Security, you've done everything right. And now you're ready, finally ready, to live somewhere warm, somewhere beautiful, somewhere with turquoise water and a slower pace, and the kind of morning where your biggest decision is whether to have coffee on the porch or walk down to the beach first. You start researching the Caribbean, and immediately the sticker shock hits. Barbados, St. Bart's, the Cayman Islands, Aruba. The pricing has gone stratospheric. The affordable Caribbean your parents might have talked about is now priced at European resort rates. Most people do one of two things. They lower their expectations, or they give up on the Caribbean entirely. But here's what they miss. The Caribbean is not one market. It's dozens of distinct island economies, and some haven't been swept up in the luxury wave yet. Nevis is one of those islands. Most Americans focus on St. Kitts and completely overlook Nevis, the smaller, quieter sister island just a short ferry ride away. And that's exactly why it still works financially for retirees. The vibe on Nevis is a step back in time, in a refreshing way. No casino strip, no cruise ship port dumping thousands of tourists at once. Plantation inns, green volcanic mountains rolling down to the sea, a small, warm community, and a pace of life that feels like the Caribbean the way the Caribbean used to feel. The budget. A decent apartment runs $700 to $1,000 a month. Groceries and utilities together, another $500 to $700. Total realistic monthly cost, $1,400 to $1,800. That puts Nevis at the higher end of this list, but it gives you English as the primary language, warm year-round climate, genuine Caribbean beauty, and a safety and quietness that more popular islands have sacrificed for tourism development. Now the honest part. Healthcare infrastructure on Nevis is limited. Basic care is available, but for serious emergencies, you're likely looking at evacuation to Puerto Rico, Miami, or a nearby larger island. Factor that into your insurance planning. It's not optional. Imported goods are expensive. If it didn't grow on the island or come out of the surrounding sea, it cost a lot to get there. Your grocery bill will reflect that. Here's the bottom line. Nevis is one of the last genuinely affordable Caribbean options before the pricing fully catches up. And it will catch up. It always does. The window isn't closed yet. If the Caribbean has always been the dream and the prices have always been the obstacle, Nevis deserves serious attention right now. Number 2, Utila, Honduras. Let me tell you about a pattern that keeps repeating itself in retirement planning. Someone finds an affordable island. Word gets out. Travel bloggers write about it. Expat forums light up. Then comes the boutique hotel, the overpriced cafe, the Instagram account, the real estate investor. And just like that, the affordable island becomes the expensive island. That's exactly what happened to Roatan. Roatan, off the northern coast of Honduras, used to be one of the most genuinely affordable Caribbean retirement destinations on the planet. Caribbean water, English commonly spoken, warm weather, a real expat community, diving that rivaled anywhere in the region. And the prices made sense for retirees on fixed incomes. Then it got properly discovered, and the prices went with it. But sitting right there in the same Bay Island chain, just 30 miles away, is a smaller, quieter, far less commercialized island that still has everything Roatan used to offer. And the prices haven't followed. Yet. That island is Utila. Utila is the smallest of Honduras's Bay Islands. It's a budget diver's paradise. Some of the cheapest PADI certification in the Western Hemisphere draws a constant trickle of younger travelers, which keeps a small, lively, but unpretentious expat economy alive. English is commonly spoken in tourism areas, which makes day-to-day life significantly easier for retirees without Spanish language skills. The budget? Rent runs $500 to $900 a month. Food and utilities together, $400 to $600. Transportation and miscellaneous, another $150 to $250. Total realistic monthly cost, $1,100 to $1,600. You're living a Caribbean island life. Warm water, year-round sunshine, ocean everywhere you look, for costs lower than many mainland American cities. That gap between Roatan and Utila in price is real and meaningful. Lower rents, fewer luxury developments driving up everyday costs, and a community that still feels like a place people actually live. But Utila's infrastructure is inconsistent. Power outages happen. Healthcare is weaker than you'd want. Hurricane exposure is real. The Bay Islands sit in a region that has felt serious storms. And the selection of supermarkets and services Americans take for granted, you're working with significantly less. For retirees needing ongoing advanced medical treatment, Utila is not the right call. The nearest serious medical infrastructure is on the mainland, and getting there in a genuine emergency takes time that an emergency might not give you. Residency through Honduran pathways is possible, but tends to move slowly and benefits from having a local lawyer walk you through it. Honest verdict? Utila is still affordable in a way Roatan simply isn't anymore. But it's rugged. It rewards the adaptable and independent, not those who need comfort and convenience at every turn. Number 1, Dominica, the Caribbean island that still feels undiscovered. Here's what happens to most Caribbean islands eventually. A developer flies in, sees the coastline, does the math, and starts building. First one resort, then another, then the boutique hotels, then the Instagram-famous cafe, then the foreign real estate listings. And one day, the local families who've lived there for generations can't afford to stay, and neither can you. Dominica, not to be confused with the Dominican Republic, they are completely different places, has largely avoided that cycle, and that's not an accident. It's geography, infrastructure, and a national identity that has kept the island intentionally slower and more natural than its neighbors. Where most Caribbean islands pride themselves on beaches, Dominica is known for something different. Mountains, rainforests, hot springs, waterfalls, and a volcanic landscape that makes it genuinely unlike anywhere else in the region. They call it the Nature Isle of the Caribbean, and it earns that name. This isn't a manicured resort island. It's wild, green, layered, alive, and the cost of living still reflects that. The real 2026 budget? A decent apartment runs $700 to $1,000 a month. Food and utilities together, $400 to $600. Insurance and miscellaneous, another $200 plus. Total realistic monthly cost, $1,300 to $1,800. For that, you get English as the primary language, genuinely important for long-term livability. A cooler climate than most of the Caribbean thanks to the elevation and mountains, significant for retirees who find relentless heat exhausting. Natural beauty that is objectively some of the most stunning in the entire hemisphere. And housing costs lower than the more famous Caribbean destinations, currently pricing out everyone who isn't independently wealthy. This is why Dominica ranks #1. Not because it's perfect, but because it hits the right combination of affordability, livability, language, climate, and long-term retirement realism better than anything else on this list. Now the honest part. Hurricane exposure on Dominica is not theoretical. In 2017, Hurricane Maria devastated large parts of the island's infrastructure and required years of rebuilding. Insurance is not optional here. It is essential, and more expensive as a result. Factor that into your budget. Ignoring it would be a mistake. Internet and infrastructure have improved significantly since Maria, but in rural areas can still be inconsistent. Verify connectivity before committing to a remote property. On Residency. Long-term pathways are achievable and more navigable than several destinations on this list. There is a citizenship by investment program, but it requires substantial financial investment and is not a realistic fast track for the average retiree. Dominica is ideal for the retiree who wants Caribbean lifestyle without the Caribbean price tag. The mountains over the yacht club. The real thing over the resort version. And right now, it's still accessible, still affordable, still genuinely undiscovered. For now. Here's what I want you to actually understand before you click away. The affordable island window has never been permanently open. Every destination on this list was cheaper a few years ago. Every place that's now out of reach, Bali, Tulum, the well-known Caribbean spots, was once on someone's hidden gems list. Then the travel magazines arrived. Then the digital nomads with their remote salaries. Then the developers. And the window closed. It always closes. Right now, in 2026, these 5 islands are still outside that wave. Sao Tome and Principe is still essentially unknown in the English-speaking retirement world. Niue is still protected by its sheer remoteness. Nevis is still flying under the radar while everyone stares at its more famous neighbors. Utila is still living in Roatan's shadow. And Dominica is still, somehow, holding on to its identity as a real place rather than a resort destination. But the factors that make these places undiscovered are temporary. Visibility spreads, infrastructure improves, remote workers go further off the beaten path every year. And every article, every video, including this one, nudges that timeline a little bit faster. So if something on this list sparked a real feeling in you, don't treat it as entertainment. Research. Find the expat communities. Talk to people already living there. Actually visit before you commit. The information is out there, but the time to act is always shorter than it feels like it should be. And if healthcare access, established English infrastructure, and proven residency pathways are the factors that matter most to you, I already put together an entire video on exactly that. The 5 best English-speaking islands where retirees are living on Social Security right now. Not future possibilities. Places where people exactly like you are already thriving. That video is the one you should watch next.